Hi guys, this is Jimmy from eprint123.com. In this video I want to talk to you about different binding options available. So on the table here I have 4 different binding options. The first one is what we call a saddle stitch book. The saddle stitch book, as you can see, is basically a stack of paper that's folded in half and then has 2 staples on the side. This book format is very economical. You can start with as few as 2 sheets of paper. For example, I have a very thin book here. It only has a few sheets of paper. So if you had 2 sheets of paper folded over, that'll give you an 8-page book. Or you can have something a little bit more substantial where you can have more pages in there. So this would be a great option if your book has between 8 and maybe 80 pages. This is probably one of the most economical options to bind a book. Then we offer something called a coil binding or a spiral binding. Basically, the binding is done using plastic coil on the side. You can see there's a bunch of holes that's punched along the side, and then the clearance margin, basically from the edge of the paper to where the live matter is, we typically recommend about 3/8 of an inch. With coil binding, you can start with a very thin book, such as something like maybe 20 pages, up to hundreds of pages. So a thin book would be something like this, where you have maybe 10 sheets of paper in here. The coil does come in different sizes, in different colors. Black is the most common, and we also offer an option where you can have a kind of a frosted or a clear front cover, and a black vinyl back cover if that's what you like. The advantage of the coil binding is that you can go up to hundreds of pages in a book format. The binding comes in different sizes, up to 2 inches thick or 2 1/4 inch thick. So you can have a couple hundred pages in a very thick book. It's pretty economical, and the coil is very resilient. So if it's crushed, you can see if you squeeze the coil, it's going to kind of bounce back to the original shape. So if these books are handled rough, it's not going to be a problem. Then we have perfect binding. Now with perfect binding, you're looking at a very square spine. This book is about 3/16 of an inch. You can go a little bit thicker, such as this magazine here. This is about maybe 1/4 of an inch. The book can be different thicknesses. It can be up to about 2 inches thick. The advantage of the perfect binding is, number one, the look of it. It's a very professional looking book. When you lay a stack of books on the table, everything lays very flat. With all the perfect binding we do, we put in Hinge Scores, which are, you can see that there's a score on the front near the spine, and also there's a corresponding score on the back side. So these scores are done to make the book open easier. Now, the disadvantage of a perfect bound book is that once you open the book, it does not lay all the way completely flat on the table. Unlike a spiral bound book, for example, on this one here, you can open the book and it's going to open 180 degrees and be completely open or flat on the table. With perfect bound, the paper and the glue kind of has a memory, so the book tends to want to close. You'll have to kind of hold it open when you read it. We also offer hardcover binding. The hardcover binding represents the high end of book binding. Basically, the cover is very thick and very sturdy. This particular cover is about 1/8 of an inch thick, and the book is about 1/2 inch thick. And with hardcover binding, on this particular one, we did a 1-color gold foil stamping on a Aerostox simulated linen cover or leather cover. We have an end sheet on the inside, so usually the first spread when you open the book is blank. That's called the end sheet. This is how the book is held to the cover. And then on the inside, you can have as many pages as you like. Then these books can go into 2-3 inches, even thicker, if you really want them to be that thick. So these are usually used for long-term storage for books that have a longer-term value. Then the hardcover would be a great option for it. The hardcover binding is also available in multiple sizes. We can do something as small as this one here, which is about 4.5 inches. The disadvantage, of course, is, with just like perfect binding, you can't really lay the book flat. It doesn't lay flat. It tends to want to close. but otherwise it does have a very, very high-end feel to it. So these are the different binding options that we offer. If you have any questions, please visit our website at www.eprint123.com. Thanks for watching.